director Martin Scorsese once controversially defined cinema as human beings conveying psychological and emotional experiences to other human beings. The Netflix original series Bojack Horseman subverts this definition in practically every way. Its cast is animated, anthropomorphic, and filled with mature humor and deep insights into things such as depression, addiction, Hollywood stardom, and everything in between. In the episode, Free Churro, the eponymous character and protagonist, Bojack Horseman, recites a eulogy about his emotionally abusive and broken mother, filled with dark jokes and searing comments. Through the episode-long monologue, we see that the show Bojack Horseman, despite the stigma surrounding animated shows and shows on a different platform than most mainstream television and cinema, is able to convey another human experience and psychological experience to other human beings. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, so waited. My name is Eden-Nicole Moore, and this is an excerpt from Free Churro from Bojack Horseman, as originally performed by Will Arnett. So, I stopped in Jack in the Box on the way here, and the lady at the counter said, "Hiya, are you having an awesome day?" Not, "How are you doing today?" No, "Are you having an awesome day?" So I told her, well, my mom died. And she apologizes and offers me a free churro with my meal. No one ever tells you when your mom dies, you get a free churro. Beatrice Horseman, who was she? She was a horse. She was born in 1938. She died in 2018. Lived a full life, that woman. Just all the way up until the end, which is, now, I guess. You know, can I tell you just how great it is to just be able to stand up alone and say anything I want about my mother without her telling me to shut up and get her a drink? Hey, Mom, knock once if you think I should shut up. No? You sure? I mean, I wouldn't want to embarrass you by turning this eulogy into a me-logy, so really, just knock once if you want me to shut up and let somebody else talk. No? You sure? Your funeral. You know, when I was a teenager, there was this cool jacket that I wanted to wear. I went to the store one day and it was gone. I went home and I told my mother and she said, "Let that be a lesson to you. That's the good that comes from wanting things." She was really good at dispensing life advice that always seemed to circle back to everything being my fault. But then, on the day of my talent show, my mother had a surprise for me. She bought the jacket. That's a good story about my mom. It's not true, but it's a good story, isn't it? The truth is, the big gesture isn't enough. You have to be consistent. You have to be dependably good. You have to do it every day, which is so hard. You know, there was this moment where my mother didn't go out quiet into that good night. She went out clawing and screaming and thrashing. But there was this moment where she looked at me and she said, I see you. I was ready for more cruelty, how I was needy and embarrassment and a burden. I was not ready for I see you. It feels mean, like you knew what I wanted and you waited until the very last moment to give it to me. Or maybe I'm giving her too much credit. Maybe it wasn't I see you like, I see you. You might have the rest of the world fooled, but I know exactly who you are. That's more my mom's speed. Or maybe I see you just meant I see you. You are an object that has entered my field of vision. Maybe she saw my dad. My dad died about 10 years back. Wish I'd known to go to Jack in the Box then. Could have gotten a free churro. My darling mother gave the eulogy. My entire life, I had never heard her say a single kind thing to or about my father. But on that day, she said, my husband is dead and everything is worse now. Maybe she knew he had taken away all her inheritance and frittered it into crippling debt. Like, hey, good news, your husband's dead, but don't worry, you also lost the house. Maybe that's what she meant when she said everything is worse now. Hey, what's the difference between my mom and a giant expulsion of bacteria? One's a coffin fit, the other's fit a coffin. What's the difference between my mom and Easter eggs? One gets carried in a basket, the other gets buried in a casket. No. Hey, what's the difference between my mother, Beatrice Horseman, and a classical literature major? One's decently read, and the other's a huge bitch! You know, I used to be on a TV show. It was about these orphans. And I thought they were lucky because they could imagine their parents to be anything they wanted. They had something to long for. You know the funny thing about both your parents being dead? It means you're next. I mean, obviously, it's not like there's a wait list for dying, but still, you'd think that would make us feel more kind and adventurous, but it makes us stupid and small and petty. My mother used to put on these shows for her supper club. She would do this dance. It was so beautiful and sad. My mother knew what it was like her entire life to live like you were drowning, except for these few moments where you could remember you can swim. Mostly you're drowning, but there was this understanding that we were drowning together. Maybe that's what she meant when she said, I see you. But I keep going back to that moment in the ICU when I see you. I see you. We were in the intensive care unit. She was just reading the sign. I was your son. All I had was you. My mother died, and all I got was this free churro. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good to know that no one is looking after me. That no one ever was and no one ever will be. Maybe it's good to know I'm the only one I can depend on. It's good. My mother's dead. My mother is dead and everything is worse now. My mother is dead and all I got was a free churro. Beatrice Horseman. She was born in 1938. She died in 2018, and I never knew what she wanted. Unless she just wanted what we all want, to be seen.